Hey guys, whenever I read people's stories here, I always felt like they were unbelievable. And how can someone's family treat them this way? But here I am, experiencing something very similar and terrible. I've tried to ignore everything that my mother-in-law keeps doing. But this thing, they've gone way beyond the pale. She's literally made my gullible husband believe that I'm having an affair. I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Darcy, and I'm 33 years of age and live with my husband Peter. Well, actually, now that his mother has moved in with us too, unofficially, I live with her too. Her name is Ava, she's 64. Since we got married, she's always had some weird hostility towards me. I have a theory it's because I remind her of her daughter who lives in Sweden, and they never had a good relationship and she is a lot like me, which is why I'm her target of hatred. Peter, on the other hand, had been the younger sibling, is very agreeable and easily influenced by anyone, especially Ava. Most of the fights that we had in the 5 years of our marriage have been incited by her, but the incidents are too many for me to list here and bore ya. I'm here to tell you about the one specific thing that started weeks ago. But since she's always up to something or the other, I did not think much of it until what happened today. I'm working in a marketing agency, and I'm the only person earning enough to contribute something significant to our expenses. Peter works as a lifeguard at the community pool, and it pays barely enough to cover our rent. So, a few weeks after, out of nowhere, Peter asked me if he could come to work partly with me, which is really strange because I'm not sure if he even knows what my job is exactly, and he never has shown interest in anything work-related. I told him it was an official networking event, it's not a party. He said he still wants to join and kept insisting. I said that, well, family members were not supposed to attend this and that I would take him to another party. Honestly, how would I even introduce him to everybody without feeling weird? These were all smart marketing executives, guys, and I would just walk up to them and say, hey, this is my 33-year-old husband and he works as a lifeguard at the pool yelling at kids wearing red shorts. I'm sorry, I know I might sound insensitive, but I got tired of picking up the slack all the time and paying for everything, having no one to rely on. But anyways, guys, I felt a little strange that he asked me to go. I told him no, and he was very insistent. We also had a fight after this, but I was too busy and tired for it. I attended the event myself, and when I came home, my mother-in-law picked up a fight with me for not taking him to the event with me. I told her that she needs to stop coddling him like he was a teenager. He needed to handle his own marriage, and she gets really aggressive and screamed at me saying that I was hiding something, which is why I was not taking him. I ignored her because I was really used to it and went to sleep. For the next few days, Peter had suddenly started asking me so many questions about my work, my coworkers, and whatnot. Things that he had never taken interest in, and it all seemed to be unnecessary, as if he was forcing the conversation in that direction. In the next few days, he would start asking me where I was going and where I was at every point in the day. He was keeping tabs on me, trying to check my phone, but I refused. I was so overbearing with it, and I was getting really fed up. But then suddenly he just stopped. I was a little taken back as to why he was randomly acting weird, hot and cold suspicious, but I ignored it. But then when I found out what was really going on, I could not have imagined it in any of my wildest imaginations. I woke up today to make myself some breakfast since it's Saturday, and Peter, he barged into the kitchen, breaking things, screaming and yelling and calling me extremely offensive names. His mother followed him. I asked him what the hell's going on, and he said, "You cheating, lying witch. I know you've been fooling around with Harvey." Guys, Harvey is my manager. I just stood there frozen, frustrated, and flustered. I said I had no idea what he's going on about, and he continued to scream at me saying that I should drop the nice girl act, and that they have proof of me cheating on him with Harvey. Friends, it was all crap. I've never cheated on him with my manager, who is 43 years of age, happily married with kids. I got really angry because I knew Ava had put some BS into his head, and this was not the first time something like this went down. I yelled at both of them, asking why they were so hell-bent on ruining a perfectly good weekend morning, and my life. That's when he showed me something even more enraging. It was a picture of me going into a hotel with my manager, Harvey, and we were laughing. Ava asked me what I was doing, going into a hotel with another man, and whether that was the reason I did not take Peter to any parties. At this point, my anger and frustration had surpassed all limits. On a random morning, they had decided, let's irritate the hell out of Darcy today. I asked him how even can he get this picture, and Ava said that they hired a private investigator to watch me. Can you believe that crap? What was even the reason to hire a PI? And that too using my own money because he barely makes anything. I was so shocked and mad because they had crossed all limits with this. Peter continued to add how his mother is so smart and caring that she's been suspecting this for weeks and had constantly warned him. And if it was not for her, he would never have found out about my infidelity. I screamed at him and said his mother was the farthest thing from being a saint, and that they crossed all limits. I told them that the man was my manager, Harvey, and that we were going into the hotel for a pitch meeting. Ava and I was lying, and that her PI was very experienced and he was never wrong about these sort of things. I showed them a picture of Harvey on our company website, but Ava then made it out to be that I was having an affair with my boss. My husband is so gullible and stupid. He never uses his own brain. He believes everything she says. I mean, do you understand how ridiculous this was? I don't even have the energy to express how mad I was and still am. They were just randomly accusing me of having an affair with my manager for no damn good reason. And they had wasted all of my money on a stupid PI? And I mean, of course, it's his job to find out things, so even if he did not, he would cook up things to get paid. We fought for 2 hours, screaming and shouting. It was so darn exhausting. Peter refused to believe me because of course he was in Ava's influence, who did not care about her son or anything else, but only about making my life hell. I've been ignoring everything that she's been doing for years now, but this is making me feel really bad and hopeless because this incident has only told me that Peter is never going to be a good supportive husband who takes my side and believes me. He'll forever be under his mother's influence and believe anything she cooks up against me. I feel so helpless that I married into a stupid, crappy family. I have no idea how to get myself out of this unnecessary, immature mess so I can have a moment of peace, which is apparently too much to ask for, in my own home. What do I do, guys? My brain is blank right now, and yet I feel really crappy. I'm grasping at straws and writing this post because I have no idea what to do. What do I say to my brainless husband? How do I get rid of Ava? Can I just kick her out? I know that won't solve anything, but I just really want to. Update number 1. Hey guys, it's me. So, if you thought hiring a PI was crossing the limit, your head will spin and explode when I tell you what Peter did next. It's been a little over a week since I made my post. I thought he was gullible, but surprise, surprise, he's also extremely psychotic. Before getting into it, all of that, thank you so much for your support and helpful words on my last post. Just receiving so much support means the world to me and made me feel so much better. And I also want to say to all the people defending Ava's actions, I've tried talking to her many times in the last 5 years. She never has any good reason to be so cruel to me. How can you assume that I'm the problem? Victim blaming much. But anyways, I'm scathing right now. After this entire drama happened, I went to my mother's house for a few days since she lives nearby. I desperately needed space from these people. I even took a leave from work for a week because I had gotten a viral fever. My mom thought it was because of all the mental stress they were causing me. I don't even know. And instead of feeling sorry, Peter kept texting me saying that I have gone to my lover's place and that I did not care about him and that I was a bad woman for being unfaithful. His texts were making my mental state worse, so my mother switched off the phone. I slept and rested constantly for the next 2 days, and once I finally felt better, I opened my phone. To my shock, my phone was flooded. 1,000 calls, messages, emails, you name it. I received like 15 emails from my manager asking me to revert back and come to the office for a code violation that I did. Code violation? That was exactly my reaction. I was away for 2 days and it was like a lava exploded. I had text messages from Harvey and Peter. I didn't bother to look at Peter's text, but Harvey had mentioned something about a text message he received from my husband. The moment I read this, my brain went to 1,000 worst-case scenarios. Something dropped in my chest, not even kidding. I called up Peter and asked him what had he done. After a few minutes of saying some aggressive things to me, he said that since I was not responding to the text, he texted my manager. He texted my manager? Out of some lame, petty spite. Harvey had sent me screenshots where Peter had sent him abusive messages like a pig. He had written some really barbaric messages, which if I write here will probably get me banned. Anyways. I screamed at Peter really bad and said, why was he so hellbent on ruining my life to the point that now he could have potentially cost me my job? I screamed at him for a few minutes, and right when I hung up the call, I get an email from work titled, Relieving of Duties. When I tell you I had a panic attack after this, I mean, what kind of teenager was I married to? He never uses his brain, and he doesn't understand someone's job is not something to be toyed with. This is my career. Especially when my job is putting a roof over his head. For some petty, mindless reason, he had cost me my entire livelihood. My mother was able to control my panic attack a lot. When I finally came to my senses, I called Harvey and told him that there's been a huge misunderstanding. He sounded very stern and firm. I couldn't tell if he was mad or straight up enraged. He asked me to come to the office, basically, ASAP. I immediately got ready and went. When I reached the office, everybody was looking at me and frowning. Everybody clearly knew about Peter's text message, and I felt so cautious of it, walking towards his office. It felt like they were all attacking me without saying a word. I entered his office, and before I could start talking, he stopped me and said that he would only talk to me when an HR rep was present. I broke down crying and felt even more embarrassed. I can't believe he had dragged my boss into some petty household crap. There was no limit to my embarrassment. I broke down and blurted everything out unfiltered. Luckily, Harvey was very understanding of a person and calmly listened to me without any judgment. He let me talk and then HR rep came. Harvey straight away told her to revoke my relieving notice, and then he told me how disconcerted and disconnected Peter's text had made him. His wife had seen him getting worked up looking at his phone, and then she saw the text. Well, she also got suspicious, and they ended up fighting. It took a lot for him to convince her that it was not true. I can't even tell you how humiliated I felt, all because Peter and Ava wanted to mess with me, and there I was standing like a clown in my boss's office. I apologized to him, I did, 1,000 times, really, and he said it's fine. He was very forgiving and understanding about it, and I was so relieved that I had not lost my job, but I was also just really angry at the same time because Peter's immaturity had almost cost me everything. I can't believe I let things get so out of hand. Update number 2. Oh my gosh, things just keep getting worse. Although actually, I think this time what they have done is gone to come and bite me in the butt themselves. It has not even been a whole week since my last update, and they have already given me another reason to vent. I'll get straight to it. That day after I came back from Harvey's office, I was blinded with anger. I went straight to Peter to yell at him. I barged inside and I slapped him. And trust me, I'm the last person who could ever get violent. I've tolerated unimaginable things from Peter and Ava in the last 5 years, and I always kept my chin high. I have a very high level of patience, and my usual response to anger is just to flee the situation and calm my mind. But I had already done that. I'd stayed at my mom's house to do exactly that, but these are not the type of people who would stop with their BS even after that. I understood that day they had just been taking advantage of my patience, and I was done letting them do that anymore. After I slapped him, I thought he would scream at me or get angry, but he started crying, and I just could not care anymore. He was crying to victimize himself and get sympathy from his mother so she could coddle him as always. And that's exactly what happened. We got into a fight yet again as Peter cried in the corner like a 3-year-old man baby. I told her that she nearly cost me the job that I had for 4 years, all because she's possessive about her 33-year-old grown son. And her life purpose was just to coddle him all the time and not let him grow a spine. She hugged Peter and then said, "Get the hell out of this house." Yep, she kicked me out. She also said that I was the worst wife anybody could have ever hoped for. First I cheated and then I slapped him. Guys, if I'm being honest, I felt a little guilty for slapping him, but my anger was strong. I did not even resist because I've been fantasizing about leaving myself. I was hoping to have a conversation with Peter and explain my side of things. But of course, that was impossible with Ava. He didn't even try to make things better. Till when could I keep consoling myself, huh? The last tiny hope that I had for us was crushed. Although I did not think they were stupid enough to kick me out because I was the one paying for everything. Like, did they think that they could survive on Peter's extravagant lifeguard salary? I packed my stuff and left the house without any confrontation because that was the moment I decided that I was going to divorce him. Now that I think of it, it seems a little rash, but there's only so much I can handle emotionally. Peter did not even try to stop me and just stayed there sitting on the couch. And, I knew it would take them less than a month to realize their mistake and come back begging me for money. Now, the only thing I'm worried about is that since they rely on me for it, what if they don't sign the divorce papers? Because they have no way to support themselves, and I just really don't want them to make this any more harder for me than they already have. Final update. Friends, you cannot even imagine what all has gone down in the last 6 months. There was something really big that I found out about Ava. A lot has happened since I sent Peter a divorce notice, which was about 5 months ago now. At first, I started receiving frantic calls and texts from both of them, as I expected. I was living with my mother, but I had not told them, or else they would have showed up there as well. I think they were expecting me to come and beg for forgiveness, after which they could selflessly take me back and continue to ruin my life. After weeks of this, I was really fed up with dealing with them, so I told Ava that if she did not stop this and make Peter sign the papers, I was going to report them for harassment, and it would be extremely easy for her to end up in jail because I have a very good lawyer. Well, guys, after this, calls and texts stopped. But just as I was worried they would not sign the papers, my lawyer had called them 1,000 times about it, and they just kept stalling, saying this is just a rough patch, and I'll soon change my decision. Different versions of the same thing. So I came up with a plan. I did. I went to the community pool where Peter worked because his mother would not get him there. His reaction was a mix of surprise and delight when he saw me. I think he was even a little tired of his mother being a part of every conversation we had, no matter how spineless and gullible he was. I told him that he needs to sign the damn papers. It's been 2 months since, and I've been pestering him to do so. And there was nothing left in our relationship anymore, and there's no point in dragging it. I also mentioned that I knew his mother had a lot of money saved up for her future travels, and even though I was not planning to come for any alimony, they had both gone way too beyond the pale and had messed up my state of mind so badly, which is why I was also going to include a $50,000 alimony with the divorce. And there was no need to waste everyone's time by trying to refuse it by saying things like, "Oh, we can't afford it." Because I was willing to lie in court and, add up all the alimony money if they tried to mess with me. I freaking had limits, and I was done with their BS. After this, I immediately called Ava separately and told her that I already talked to Peter about the divorce, and if she caused any more problems for me, I was going to report her to the police for harassment. And even lying to them if necessary to make sure she goes to jail. After this, I called my lawyer and asked him to also get me a restraining order against Ava and Peter. I also asked him to include a letter that said if she even thought of refusing to sign the papers, we had the harassment complaint papers ready to file and would not hesitate even for a second to take her to the police. A week after this, since they could not contact me or come near me, and had threatened harassment complaints waiting against her, they had no choice but to mail the signed divorce papers. I'd also proved in court how bad they falsely accused me of cheating, and almost got me fired. I took care of them for years, and my boss was more than happy to support me at the hearing, which is why it was super easy for the court to approve the alimony. They screwed with me for years, and I took the ultimate revenge. Well, guys, the divorce was made official 2 months ago, and to be honest, I've never felt better. But let me know, do you think I should have tried to save the relationship more, or do you think my husband, ex-husband, was nothing but a sorry mama's boy?